Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peter Likes Books. And today, I'm gonna do an original book tag. So, this is how I find the book tags that I'm gonna do. I go into YouTube, and I put book tag original, and then I update it to see like the ones that are the most recent, and then I go in there and I pick ones that have like just come out in the last couple days. And today, I'm going to do the Oscar book tag, designed and created by Liv's Books. And no, she didn't tag me in it. Nobody ever tags me in these. But I had said that in 2018, I was going to go shout out new booktubers or smaller booktubers that had just come on. And I want to give a shout out today to somebody who doesn't really necessarily have a small channel. But it is Alistair over at Alistair Reviews It. And Alistair is Zach from The Adventures of Zach and Bee's husband. And I adore both of them. And Alistair recently started a booktube channel. So go check it out. He does like movie reviews. He does like book reviews. And his channel's grown pretty quickly because I think people know him from Zach's channel. But he's doing some really interesting videos. He edits 10 times better than I do. And he actually did like a 2018 Oscar, like picking who's gonna win and who's not. So in reference to this video, it's kind of interesting. And I will link his channel below. Please go check it out and tell him that I sent you and tell him I said hi. So anyway, she did this video today and Liv at Liv's Books, and it's all kind of like her translating like best picture into like a best novel kind of thing. And I love that idea. Recently on my Peterisms channel, I did a story time talking about why the Academy Awards are really important to me and that it was a really special night that my mom and I always spent together. So I thought, since the Oscars are coming up, this is the perfect video for me to do on BookTube. So let's get right into this. And, you know, it was really hard as I was like standing in front of my bookshelf, like picking out books, and I was like trying to be really honest, not just books that I've read in the last year, but books that I've read over my entire life. And, you know, when you get to the age that I'm at, you start kind of forgetting some of the books that had a really serious impact on you. So I'm trying to go back. A lot of the books you guys are going to have heard me talk about on here before, but a lot of the books I think might surprise you too that I put in that category. So this is like kind of her overall, not just for 2018, but the overall. And the question, number one, best picture, your favorite book series. Okay, so my favorite book series is honestly Brent Hardiger's The Russell Middlebrook series. And it starts with the Geography Club, and if you guys don't know anything about it, it's about Russell Middlebrook, and he is a high school student, and he's gay, but not fully out. And so he goes to this gay straight alliance club in his school, and they call it the Geography Club because they don't want anybody else to know what it is at the school. They've actually made the book into a movie. I think you can see it on Netflix. There are now, I think, 7 or 8 books, and it takes you from Russell in high school all the way through college and past college and all that stuff. And I just have fallen in love with the books. Brent Hardiger is a really neat guy. When I was writing my book, he gave me a lot of suggestions and a lot of help. So go check them out. I will try to list all of these books below. And if you've never heard of that and you guys want to read a fantastic series, it's interesting because he's so creative that like the first book is about like the high school gay straight alliance, but like the second book is them all going, like it's Russell and his friends going to like a summer camp and being counselors. And then the third one is their extras in zombie movies. And so he puts this creative spin to all of them, and I love it. Okay. And then the next question, if I can get back into my phone here, please hold. The next question is best foreign film, your favorite diverse book. And I was having kind of a hard time coming up with this because I feel like I read so many diverse books. But if I had to put my finger on one book that really I felt, I don't know, like got me emotionally and I just couldn't put it down, I would pick Benjamin Alirstein's Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. And I think the reason that I would pick that are for 2 different reasons. I think that his discussion of the coming out process, as well as his continued discussion of the Chicano culture is so interesting to me, and his spin on it, and also how the Chicano culture intercedes and intertwines with the coming out process and the whole idea of masculinity and what that means in that culture. And I think he does such a fantastic job, not just in that book, but other books as well that he's written. And, he's one of my favorite authors, so I read everything that he puts out. Now, his last one, The Inexplicable Logic of My Life, was not one of my favorite books, I have to say, but, he's coming out with a sequel to Aristotle this year, so I'm super excited. Okay, number 3, best documentary, favorite nonfiction book. Now, I've talked about this a couple times on here, but this is a book that I read years and years and years ago. A client actually recommended it to me, and I went and got it, and whenever somebody recommends a book to me, if they say, I could not put this down, I go get it immediately. And that is I Am Not Myself These Days by Josh Kilmer Purcell. And if you don't know what this is about, it's about addiction, but he's also, it's a memoir. He's also a drag queen. And there's a goldfish on the cover because in the book, he wears these high heels, and he has goldfish in the heels of these plastic high heels. Anyway, it's at the same time tragic and devastating, hilarious and endearing. It's probably one of the best memoirs I've ever read. If you love Augustin Burroughs, it's very similar to that. A little bit wittier, actually. And yeah, so go check it out. I'm Not Myself These Days by Josh Kilmer Purcell. I remember I read it in literally in 24 hours. Okay, then the next question. I have all my books right here, props. I don't usually bring books for my, so Lib, I prepared for your book tag. Number 4, best actress, favorite female protagonist. Well, this is a newer book, but I don't think that this will surprise anybody, that my favorite female protagonist, I think, of life is probably, okay, and I have a hard time considering Scout from To Kill a Mockingbird a protagonist. I don't know why, but I just do. Or the main protagonist. The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. Star Carter is just such a phenomenal character. I think she is such an unforgettable character. And I was sitting there and I was picking out between this and Willow Dean from A Dumplin', and I was like, there are so many times that Willow Dean is not likable as a character, and that builds into the story. So I wouldn't say that she's my favorite. I love Dumplin', I love Willow Dean, but I have to say Star Carter just won my heart. I love her so much, and this book, I mean, whoo. So if you haven't read The Hate You Give yet, you need to go out and get it. Okay, number 5, favorite male protagonist, and for that, I picked Holden Caulfield from The Catcher in the Rye. And I don't know, there's a part of me that is so forever connected to him. I read the book when I was close to his age when he was in the book, and I was kind of, in the depths of drinking and despair at that time too, and I so related to the story of being lost, and so I don't know, I read it recently, and I reread it recently, and it didn't have the same impact on me. I saw it as very depressing. I saw it as more of a period piece of a time, and it's interesting that the book, I think, still gets so many accolades. I really think it's a book to read when you're younger. I think as you get older, I think it's very depressing looking back on. So, but I still do love Holden Caulfield. Don't you wonder kind of what would happen to him if God, can you imagine if we found out J.D. Salinger wrote a sequel to it and it was when he was 40? That would be so depressing, wouldn't it? We don't want that book. Okay, so let's see. Number 6, best supporting actress, famous female supporting character. Are you ready for this one? Calpurnia in To Kill a Mockingbird. She just is such a phenomenal character. And the thing is, now I know a lot of people didn't like Go Set a Watchman by Harper Lee, but when you read that book, it even, I don't know, makes Calpurnia's character more meaningful in To Kill a Mockingbird. And, whereas I read To Kill a Mockingbird, I read Calpurnia's role as, timely to where they were, but very much also as a, aunt, mother, nanny figure. And Go Set a Watchman, she's just so wise in a way that I think I missed until I reread this recently. And if you go back and you haven't read this for a long time, go back and read it and really read the parts about Calpurnia. She's a really important character in this book. And she, I think, will always be for me just somebody that I just love, always. So anyway, Calpurnia from Catcher in the Rye. Okay, or from To Kill a Mockingbird. Can you imagine if Calpurnia had been in Catcher in the Rye? That would be a good book tag to switch characters and put different characters in different books, Can you imagine if Atticus Finch was teaching at Hogwarts? Okay. Come on. Oh, I hate when my phone does this. Not while I'm filming a book tag. Come on. Okay, there she is. Best supporting actor, favorite male supporting character in a book. Oh, I picked Dante from Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. I don't know, like, have you ever read a character like him, ever? I mean, so much innocence, just his outlook on the world, you know, really challenged my belief system, even in, I mean, I thought he was gonna die, you know, but even like at parts, I don't know, it just, I can remember, I listened to it on Audible, and I can remember just like listening to it, and I just was like blown away. Like, you know, to write a character at a young age that gets the world is such phenomenal talent. And Benjamin Alire Sainz created two characters that I think will be timeless and unforgettable for a very long time. So, timeless for a very long time. Get that? Okay. Whew. I'm not speaking really great on this one. I'm already in my head thinking they're gonna come for me for that female protagonist. Scout's not, yes, Scout's a protagonist, I know. Okay, so anyway, number 8, best screenplay, favorite standalone book. Okay, so I really wanted to think about this, and I was really thinking about like, what are books that I always recommend? And you guys know that recently I recommended The Hate U Give, and before that, I recommended Dumplin'. And I recommended The Speed Queen by Stuart Onan, and To Kill a Mockingbird, people think that I'm gonna say that. And I was sitting there and I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, She's Come Undone by Wally Lamb is a book that really, really profoundly changed my outlook on the world. And I remember reading it, and I read it in like 24 hours. I was in Cancun with my dad and my stepmom, and I came back from that trip a changed person after reading that book. But the book that I recommend the most, and I don't know that I've ever talked about it on here, maybe once or twice, the book that I read 25 years ago, 20 years ago, that really changed who I am as a person was Ferris Beach by Jill McCorkle. And I will link it below. I don't know if you can still find it. I actually loaned out my copy, and I have no idea where it is. I don't remember who I loaned it out to. It's why I very rarely loan out books. I usually just give them to people. And it's about these two girls that grow up next to each other, and I will tell you that I can sit here even to this day, and I haven't read the book in probably 22, 25 years, and the last paragraph of the book is about a baton, and I can still see the scene in my head and get really teary-eyed thinking about it, and it's really one of the greatest coming-of-age stories I've ever read in my entire life. Jill McCorkle wrote so many great books, and I just recently bought a book of hers and put it in the haul, but she wrote Ferris Beach, she wrote Tending to Virginia, she wrote The Queen of October, she wrote July 4th, July 4th or July 11th, I can't remember what it's called, but she wrote so many great books, and she's an English professor, I think at the University of Virginia, and she's fantastic. And I remember years and years and years ago for a creative writing class, I had to write to an author, and mine was the only one that wrote me back in our class, and it was Jill McCorkle. And she wrote me like a handwritten 2-page letter about like really encouraging me to continue to write and all this kind of stuff. So Jill, if you're out there, your letter, like, it had an impact on me, so thank you. I think we sometimes in life don't know who we're, you know, affecting or touching. So, thank you. That was the coolest thing. I still have the letter downstairs, too. All right, the next one, best director or favorite author. Okay, so I think for all of us, we have that author that as soon as they put a book out, we're like, oh my God, I have to go get it, right? And for me, I've talked a lot about him on here, but like, I don't know that he's real well known. And that is Stuart Onan. And this is his book, The Night Country. And I've talked about this book on here before. It's about a car accident, and 3 teenagers are killed and 2 survive it. And one of them is trying to recreate the accident a year later because he thinks they should have died in the accident. And so it's told from like 5 different people's perspectives. And Stuart Onan also wrote The Speed Queen, which is, somebody just sent me, it's one of my all-time favorite books. And the Songs for the Missing and Last Night at the Lobster. The thing about him is he's very good friends with Stephen King. The thing about him is that every book that he writes is completely different, right? And there's something creative and genius in everything that he does. And this one, if you look in here, every chapter is the title of a horror movie. So this is like Day of the Dead. And then if you go in here, Halloween. And it takes place around Halloween. This book is dark, it's endearing. All of his books are character-driven, not plot-driven. And they're just fantastic. The Last Night at the Lobster is about a guy who is the manager of a Red Lobster, and it's closing down, and Christmas Eve is its last night because around them, it's just like the mall is dying and there's not getting any business anymore. And it's really just about his story about how he's been the manager of a Red Lobster for years and years and years. Speed Queen is about a girl that fell in love with this guy, and he was a meth addict, and she had a baby, and they died. And now she's in prison, and she's responsible for their death, and you don't know why. And she sold the rights to her story to Stephen King. And so it's her going back and explaining from the very beginning. Like, I still remember this when she was working in a gas station, and she would drink, like, Diet Pepsi, because Diet Pepsi had more caffeine in it than Diet Coke. And her chasing this speed always. And it's fantastic. And every book that he writes just really resonates with me and has, like, a strong... Several of his books have been made into movies, too. Okay, The Snow Queen, I think, is one of his books that he wrote. Is it? I should look and see. The Snow Queen, and they made it into a movie. Look at that. Snow Angels. And then there's another one that he has that was made, Wish You Were Here, was made into a movie too, I believe. And, okay, so then the next question, best cinematography, best world building. I mean, I have to go with Harry Potter. I've only read one of them, but it is the best world building I've ever read. And then number 11, best costuming, best cast of characters. And, you know, I really struggled with that. I was, like, really thinking about, like, of all the cast of characters that I absolutely love, that I feel, like, kind of connected to long term, I would have to go with To Kill a Mockingbird. They're the characters that I will always remember for my entirety of my life. Every single character in this book has some kind of impact on me. You know, from the judge to Atticus to Boo Radley. I mean, I even have a dog named Boo Radley. So, yeah, best cast characters. If you want something a little bit more lighthearted, I would say the Russell Middlebrook series by Brent Hardiger. All those characters really had a lasting impression on me, too. And I hope he's not done with the series, because I wish it just keeps on going on and on and on. So that's my Oscar book tag. I am going to tag for this. I'm trying to tag people that I know that will do it. So I'm going to tag Kevin at the Irish Reader. I'm going to tag, let's see, Damien Terraquez, because I know that he loves entertainment stuff because he's a dancer. And Dylan, the Reader 5. So I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.